I remember what the Chinese characters for small and big are.
Okay.
And there is small for Terran, but there's no big for any of the races. Say Chinese character, I should would specify Mandarin character. Anyway, we are going to be kicking off this best of 5 qualifying match here on 2000 atmospheres LE. Where, of course, in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. You know, I appreciate that our players are
Oh my god.
using characters that translate easily. In the bottom left-hand corner, I'm starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, we of course have our yellow Protoss player coming out from the land of China. He of course is going to be representing Team Starlight Twinkle. He is known right now as Yuki, but also as ReWhite.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of 2000 atmospheres LE. Oh my god, it's another one. We have the red Zerg player himself representing Toho Project THPJ. It is Takanashi.
Is that really what the clan is called? The Toho Project?
Yes.
So there are weeb clans, and then there are weeb clans. So there are clans like Team NV that try to hide their weebishness, and then we have Toho Project, which is just, you know, they embrace it. They're proud.
Exactly. They know what they are.
Proud of their waifus.
Yeah, they're not gonna try and hide it, mate. Like some kind of like backroom degen weebs, okay? They know what they are. That's why he's called Takanashi, mate.
Yeah. Shaking my head, Team NV.
Shaking my head. But we did already see a little bit of banter, a little bit of back and forth between these two players, and we'll see who comes out on top. Again, historically, I feel like both of us have a lot of stock in ReWhite. We've seen him season after season after season performing well, but is this the time for Takanashi for Toho to rise?
Well, perhaps. I don't know why I always do this, like, but I'm tempted to try to break out the 3rd grade Mandarin.
Stop, mate. It's not.
I think Yuki,
not good.
ReWhite, I think just said something along the lines of "I am bad" or something like that.
Ah, okay. Seregi.
Seregi, yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
I know what the Chinese character for
Maybe he was just saying Protoss is bad.
No, he specifically said "war," which is I or me.
Okay. Fair enough. Speaking of, though, we do see another Twilight Council opener. This time, though, I'd be very surprised if it is going to be Charge. I'm feeling Glaives. What are you feeling, Yaku?
I'm feeling Glaives as well. Because I see Glaives here. I'm not gonna lie, I was gonna say Blink, but I saw the Glaives pop up, so.
Oh,
so to pretend that I predict right, I'm gonna say Glaives.
There you go, mate.
But yeah, it's interesting that this is a choice coming out from ReWhite. Of course, we have seen, ever since the Void Ray nerf, plenty of Protoss players trying to experiment a lot with ground toss. Very mixed reactions, or very mixed results, I should say, depending on each player and each strategy. But Glaives have always been reliable, I will say.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Young Zest didn't whip out the Glaives, to be honest. I mean, that just would have been on brand. So yeah, it was a little bit odd that we didn't see it in our previous ZVP, but here we are in this one, and so far Takanashi hasn't gone into the main base. He hasn't scattered anything. He doesn't know about the opener just yet. He can deduce that it's not a Stargate, but oh god, he's gonna have to rely on this link to see the War Prism as it moves out. And he
not quite so.
Oh, he's waiting. Oh, what a big brain! What a big brain!
This guy.
Wow, so he keeps his War Prism hidden, he deals with the Lings, and he will move out across the map. He's not that committed, by the way. This is 4-gate Glaive Adepts, not 6 or 8. So very, very standard, very macro-oriented, and behind this, he's already working on the follow-up.
Yeah, again, very methodical coming out from ReWhite. We should be seeing a couple of disruptors being made after this, just as a way to deal with all of these roaches. This is, yeah, very much the old school stat style before he retired and went to the military.
Yeah, if you remember when Pez was a little bit more active, he would do this every game. In GPO, he would just go.
Before he was Tez.
Yeah, before he was Tez.
Good old days.
Yeah, he would go Glaive and Eps into Disruptors. It's very solid, but it's also a little bit old. It's quite out of meta nowadays, especially after the Stargate meta. So the Void Ray, double Stargate Void Ray meta, I should say. So yeah, we don't see this too often anymore.
Yeah. But I've always kind of held the opinion that, you know, there's nothing necessarily wrong with this build. It's pretty good and solid. It's just that you're not going to be getting as much damage compared to... You're giving up both safety and probably damage harassment potential compared to not going for the Void Race. But since they got nerfed, maybe they're a little bit better.
Yeah, meanwhile, I don't know if you noticed, but Takanashi has not been droning for a long time. He's making nothing but links. He's going 100% all in across the map. He's going to be losing a lot here in his main base, but he doesn't care. He wants to end the game, mate. He wants to kill his opponent, but the first Disruptor's out.
Exactly. The second Disruptor not long afterwards. Oh, and Takanashi has recognized this, mate. He has went back to droning, which is the exact last thing that he wanted to do. Thankfully, he was able to deal with the Warp Prism, though, so...
Yeah, but
look,
look...
have to worry about that, at least.
Again, look at all these things. These could have been drones. We're equal in worker counts right now, which is something that you almost never see. So, Takanashi, he had to switch gears. I think he did recognize that he couldn't end the game, that he couldn't break the natural base, so he was forced to transition, and now we're in a really odd place. I think I would go as far as to say, looking a little bit better here for our Protoss.
I would definitely go that far, yeah. And agree with you there. As he was saying, Takanashi building so many Lings, which it can have a purpose against gateway units, but now that ReWhite has switched gears and is building a couple of Colossus, this is just about the worst Zerg army composition against specifically what ReWhite is going for right now. Stalkers, Disruptors, and Colossus.
Yeah, exactly. All these units do quite well against Mass Ling. But that's why I kind of like what Takanashi is doing. He's prioritized taking all of his gases, and he's going straight into a Spire instead. So a very unexpected tech choice, trying to sneak out Mutas. This could work, but at the moment he is a little bit... Oh, he cancels! Oh my god! Never mind!
That, yeah, I guess he has kind of realized that he needs some money now.
Yeah.
He needs the army now to be able to defend. Cancels that fourth base. And he's going to try to go for a bit of a surround here, but I'm not entirely convinced it's going to work out. I will say that ReWhite doesn't have Blink yet.
I'm just worried because...
It's a little bit more difficult for him.
Yeah, even though we have a bit of a surround being set up, we do have a lot of sentries for force fields. We do have those 2 Novas as well. Yuki, ReWhite is pushing deep into creep as we do have a little bit of latency. No!
Oh, is it me?
I think it's me. Oh, god.
Oh, it's D.
Yeah, not like
am
this.
Am I D or am I E?
I'm D. Oh.
Okay.
Oh. As we see a little bit of a pause there.
Are we refs? But I guess we can talk to the party.
Yeah, I do not believe we are refs. But when it comes to latency, I should be perfectly fine here.
Wait, where is it?
Did who am I? I think I said that in. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let them know that we're ready. We're ready.
Okay.
This is a pretty crucial moment, man.
Wait, are we refs?
No.
Okay, so we can't on pause. Okay. Or can I? I can't.
Yeah.
That was a massive risk I took trying pressing the P.
That was, mate.
Just imagine if it... Yeah.
Meanwhile, we do see a bit of a full surround. Biles are going to be connecting with some of this RP by Alco the Novas.
The Novas do hit. And I gotta tell you, like, Novas are a little bit more powerful than Biles in this scenario. But the majority of the links have been taken out, and now it's just Roaches to deal with. And Roaches can do pretty well against this type of army. But Stalkers, man, they are still pretty beefy. Not enough Ravagers to take out this Warp Prism. And Yuki, otherwise known as ReWhite, should be taking game number 1.
Yeah, exactly. There's just far too much Protoss here. Again, the force fields were just too damn good. The Novas were good as well. GG gets called, and ReWhite will take game number 1.
Nicely done here. Very solid defense, even more solid offense coming out from him.
Exactly. I love what Alive in the Wired said in the chat. Us otaku have evolved beyond shame.
Yeah, boy. And you should. Be proud of who you are.
Not like this, mate. Not
Embrace it.
Ay. GG, well played. Again, really well done there by ReWhite. It is a bit of a shame that there was a little bit of latency. Thankfully, it wasn't when the big engagement happened. And again, like, our Zerg player was in a really rough... Takanashi was in a really rough position after the opener. After he invested so much into his own kind of all-in and then had to try and pivot away. And then he was working on a Spire. And then he had to cancel the Spire. And, yeah. It's a rough position.
Without a doubt. Against a more passive Protoss player, maybe there was a chance for him to catch back up, because we could see that he was trying to, again, expand as aggressively as he could get away with there, even taking a couple of risks, trying to go for a bit of an earlier fourth in that regard. But, you know, ReWhite, otherwise known as Yuki, not, at least in this game, was not playing passive whatsoever. He was in absolute control start to finish.
Yeah, he was very decisive as well. Like, it was great the way that he was able to recognize his own timing that he could hit. You know, after the Glaive Adepts, when he was able to get his Disruptors and even his Colossus out, like, that was very well executed by our Protoss.
And now let's see if he's going to be able to continue that on Blackburn LE, where, of course, in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, starting all the way in the bottom right-hand corner, we have a yellow Protoss player coming out from the land of China. He, of course, is going to be representing Starlight Twinkle, SLT. He is known now as Yuki, but elsewhere as ReWhite.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Blackburn LE, we have our Chinese Zerg player himself. He is red, representing Toho Project, as well as the otakus all over the world. It is Takanashi.
He's doing this for you, Dong Regu, I guess. I know, I know.
Haas, he's looking for you, Haas.
Haas, there we go, yep.
I think, I could be wrong.
I was trying to think of Zerg weebs.
I think this is Rem from ReZero, right?
Oh, the blue-haired one.
Yeah, the twin in ReZero.
Yeah, the one that Probe cosplayed as.
Did that happen?
Or did he cosplay as the other one? He cosplayed as one or the other.
I remember he cosplayed as Sailor Moon, Nier Autonoma, and someone else.
Maybe I was thinking of Nier Autonoma. Automata. Oh, bit of latency again.
Yeah. This is not looking too good here. Especially because this time, this time it is me, and this time it's actually a pretty big lag spike. Like previously it was just like a one-time thing. Can you let him know that we need a moment? Yeah. Like obviously, like this isn't necessarily like an internet thing, because I'm fine connected here to OBS. But specifically to the Chinese server, there seems to be a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, well, we'll see if it's going down, and if not, then we might. I might take over the reins of the Observer and try to Discord stream here.
Yeah, it won't be ideal, but we may have to do it. What I will say is that the ping is going down. So
okay.
Thankfully it is going down. Just still not at quite an acceptable amount. So for those wondering, it spiked all the way up to 1,500 ping. But now it is lowering all the way to 600, 500, soon to be 400. So thankfully, whatever it was, it's okay.
Yep. Okay. Well, I guess let us know if when it does go back down to something a bit more stable, we'll be able to let our players know, and then we'll carry on our series here.
Yeah. And just let him know that it is stable now. I know what that was, but yeah, that was a little bit scary.
So, cross the Ethernet cables, everybody. You know, as we all know that saying, Australian internet. Well, I guess in this case, like we were saying, it's not even Australian internet. It's like
it's Australian internet to the Chinese server.
Yeah, but then again, it's also specifically for this match. So, you know, it's Australian internet for the Chinese server. For what time is it over where you're at? Coming midnight.
Yeah. 11 p.m.
Something about Alright, well there we go. Something about 11 p.m. That's when that's when Australian internet just decides to call it a night, trying to connect with the Chinese server.
I guess so. Ah, God. But if this does become a consistent issue, then I will probably get out of the game, and we will have to resort to a Discord stream instead, which again isn't ideal, but it will be like the best solution.
I am gonna have to ask you for what mouse settings to have because yeah, I do not have the observer set up.
Oh God, it's gonna be wild, man.
I have to write overlays. I can tell you that.
Thankfully. Oh God. Meanwhile, we are getting here into game number 2, and ReWhite is approaching this a little bit differently here, going for a Stargate.
Yeah. Not at all the ground toss style that we saw on 2000 Atmospheres, and it is kind of... Again, I wouldn't have necessarily expected Stargate to be thrown down on Blackburn of all maps, but that's part of the beauty of it, isn't it? It's even less anticipated here from
Yeah. I mean, especially with something like the Queen Walk being dead, like you could argue that maybe it's a little bit safer to do something like this. And I'm really curious to see how ReWhite is going to approach this as well, because he is opening up with a Void Ray, and he doesn't necessarily have to commit to a second Void Ray after this.
Yeah, you could definitely switch into an Oracle from here, or maybe start getting a couple of Phoenixes out. Yeah, and just trying to keep Takanashi, yes, I did forget his name for a second, Takanashi from really understanding what he's, or scouting and figuring out what he's going for.
Let's go. First Void Ray is moving out across the map. We already have a first kill on that Overlord, and you called it. It is an Oracle after said first Void Ray, looking to zoom out across the map and hopefully get some drone kills.
Yeah, we'll see if he saves the second one, just to have that one-shot potential. He's being very ballsy with his Void Ray right now. This is reminding me of kind of the middle of 2021 when Protoss players, you know, they tried to sneak the Void Ray in just to snipe down a queen or two, but then afterwards immediately dip out.
Yeah, being a little bit bold with this Void Ray. Not too bold, he's still on the edge of creep, so still very safe. And as you said, he is waiting for that second Oracle to pop out for that one-shot potential. Gonna be chilling here back at home until that happens. And he should stop it too, especially because he's going into a rowboat. I'd be very surprised if he goes all the way up to 3 at this point. Oh my God!
Oh, not a kill, thankfully, for Takanashi here, but still unfortunate that he did have to lay the 4th base, which was also a gold base.
Yeah, we did see a little bit of a force cancel there. The queens are all drawn up towards that 4th base as well, so maybe the main a little bit more exposed. We only have 2 queens here, as well as a Spore, and those oracles, they're making their way to the main.
Yeah, they can definitely tank a couple of hits from the queens right now, and even the Spore Crawler if worst comes to worst, but Yuki not liking his chances over here. Dips in, notices all the queens, just throws down the tags to watch for tech, and dips immediately out.
Yeah, exactly. He will confirm. You know, an Evo Chamber on the way, nothing too major happening. He does have an eye on the lair timing as well, as he is starting to pump out those Immortals, and I imagine going to +1 Blink Stalkers, you know, much more standard ground toss coming up from me. Oh my God, never mind.
Yeah, it is +1, but not quite +1 Blink Stalkers. He is going straight into Charged Archon. I love this coming out from him. Especially with some of the Immortals coming out right now, it is, if timed correctly, going to be able to absolutely evaporate any lings or roaches coming his way. And as we do see, Takanashi is going for a roach composition once again. But Trisha pick up a little bit with his fire.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, again, Zealot Archon can do very well here. And it can scale relatively well into late game, especially because there we go, we're gonna have Storm with this as well. But shout out to Takanashi, he goes into the main base and he scouts everything, including the Twilight Council, including the research. Temple Archive, sorry, with the research.
Yeah, and now he knows exactly how he should be building up his army. The Baneling Nest is going to be something worth prioritizing at the moment. I still do think it's going to be a little bit tough for him as he, you know, he's not going to have direct counters just yet, but of course, in the spirit of Zerg, you don't need a direct counter if you can throw enough units at your opponent.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I think Roach Ravager Ling Bane is going to be fine until Storm. Storm obviously just complicates things a little bit more, and you may be forced to tech up even further, maybe into Lurkers. But interestingly, we have a Spire on the way instead. Looking at the vision, the hallucinations did not see that Spire, so a Muta switch will be a little bit unexpected. But yeah, I think I'm a little bit concerned just because the goal base has gone like unhindered. Like the economy for Takanashi is pretty insane right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 14 Mutalisks being produced just at the drop of a hat. And while those Mutalisks shouldn't be able to do much against Archons or Storm, it can absolutely mess up the economy of ReWhite, which is looking a little bit exposed, not gonna lie.
Yeah, very exposed. And honestly, surprisingly, there are no Archons. So if Takanashi wanted to, he could just dive on top of the High Templar. He could just snipe the High Templar and then go in with his Ling Roach.
Yeah, what is ReWhite gonna do? Storm his own army?
The
Mutalisks are on top of? Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, he may have to, mate, but here we go. The Mutas do get on top of the Void Ray. They do reveal themselves, so ReWhite is gonna have a little bit of time to respond. He does have a cannon in the main base, but oh, he actually targets down the Stargates.
Yeah, not even targeting down the pylon. He wants to get rid of it immediately. Battery overcharge being popped just to keep this pylon alive, and he needs it. There are 2 gateways over there, as well as his one robo facility.
Yeah, and just like that, both Stargates do get targeted down by these Mutas. No Phoenix is going to pop out. Only a single one made it out in the end. It looks like the Ling Roach isn't going to be able to do too much, but the Mutas are starting to get a little bit out of control.
Yeah, some beautiful storms, but unfortunately not enough to really clean up. ReWhite has been doing a pretty good job of keeping his workers alive so far, but now he's finally starting to take a bit of damage. Mutalisks, man, they're just so maneuverable.
Yeah, exactly. A dip in between all the bases. Look how many workers have already gone down. He's keeping the army busy. 16 probes have fallen. Behind all of this, we have 81 drones, mate. Again, on top of that, there's a gold base, so we have so much money to work with. Takanashi has.
Yeah, we're at the point where, yeah, technically the Mutalisks get countered by Stalkers, Storms, and Archons, but there are just so many of them, and ReWhite cannot get a single one of them into position that Takanashi is kind of running away with this.
Exactly, because again, there was no Blink. Blink is still on the way. We had Charge instead, so Mutas were a great choice here by our Chinese Zerg player. We do see another Storm, but again, we don't see... Oh no, the Immortals! They're all exposed!
They will not be living up to their names, and now Takanashi is maxed out against Yuki, who is still scrambling for defense. The stasis wards do help a little bit, but not as much as they really need to. Archons being taken out before they can even finish up. This is not looking too good, to say the least.
Exactly. I'll be honest, like, the Mutas, they can just turn around and fight this army. Like, there's only enough energy for one more Storm, and that is it. And honestly, the Mutas, they can just avoid that and just end the game. As we just see continued Muta production, just nothing but Mutas, and it's just too much here. Even an Archon isn't enough.
GG is called, and Takanashi will tie up that series sideways 1-1.
Wow, GG, well played. The one game where ReWhite is a little bit more passive, where he opens up and he's just chilling at home, Takanashi just runs away with it.
Yeah. It's, yeah.
Crazy, mate. Absolutely crazy. GG, well played again. Even though at the very beginning we did see a cancel on the gold base, That's literally the only aggression we saw from our Protoss player. He was so passive otherwise, and then the gold got up and running, all the gases were taken, and he just wasn't ready for the mutas. Unfortunately, when he went for the hallucinated scout, he missed the spire. He didn't see.
Yeah. Very nicely positioned there from Takanashi. Well, I'm trying to re-invite you to this party.
In, please.
Figure out which button it actually is.
Do you? You could just ask them, I guess.
I think I clicked the right one.
I didn't receive anything.
Well, I suggested to what's it called?
Oh, okay. Yeah, hopefully we can get back into the party and we can get things rolling once again. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it seems that that latency earlier was strong enough that it just kicked me out of the party.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed.
But I think the best thing about this series that we're continuing is the fact that it's not one-sided. You know, it's a little bit more back and forth.
Yeah, we do have that little bit of back and forth, as you said. I was definitely very, very, very impressed by ReWhite in game number 1. I thought that this series was going to go a certain way, but I'm really glad to see Takanashi fighting back quite a bit.
Yeah. It goes to show that if Takanashi is able to get his economy up and running, his macro and his control can be absolutely insane. It's something that we really didn't get to see in game 1. Game 1 was much more one-sided, and it made me, lose a little bit of faith in our Zerg player. But here in game 2, like, he was able to regain that faith. Like, yeah, that was really well done. And I think now ReWhite has to be a little bit more afraid of him.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah, he definitely can't be working off of assumptions like in that Blackburn game, just kind of thinking, if I just go charge that Archon Immortal, I should be fine, when you would if he wasn't going for all those Mutalisks.
Yeah. Oh, God. It goes to show that, like, your scouting has to be on point as well. And you have to make sure that you're aware of what your opponent is doing and respect them enough that, you yourself can't, like, neglect that. Oh, boy. So, here we go. We're diving into game number 3.
Yeah. On Berliningrad this time.
Oh yeah, as a reminder, this is going to be a best of 5, so both players only had a single veto each. That is all they could work with, and other than that, we're going to see every single game, at least if we go to the ace match.
Hopefully we do. But then again, if we go to the ace match, then there's a chance we'll miss the lower qualifying match.
Yeah.
So, they're all upsides and downs, is what I will say. But regardless, we are of course going to be continuing our qualifying match now on Berliningrad LE. We're of course in the top left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the top left-hand corner. We have a yellow Protoss player coming out from the land of China. He of course is going to be representing Team Starlight Twinkle Salt, if you want to call it that. He is known elsewhere as ReWhite, but here as Yuki.
Let's go, because spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Berlingrad LE, it is his turn to be the aggressor. It is the Chinese Zerg player representing Toho Project, going for a 12 pool. It is Takanashi. Oh my god.
May as well. He's not just going for a 12 pool. He's also going for a, well, I'm hoping for a proxy hatch, and it should be. Look at that rally.
Yeah, look at the rally, look at the amount of minerals that we have banked up. Meanwhile, we do have a probe scout, and Yuki ReWhite will confirm that it is in fact a 12 pool, but he is too late to deny that hatchery.
Beautifully done. that much more difficult for ReWhite to get his wall up and running. He is able to pull something off in the end here, but does mean that he delays the Zealot by just a little tiny bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the power of doing this on Berlingrad is just because once you mine out these minerals, it is so quick to get across the map. We do have a forge, which is the correct response. That means cannons are going to be on the way, but again, it's going to be a little bit before he can throw down those cannons.
Yeah, no shield batteries here that can really heal up this gateway, so yeah, Yuki is going to have to rely a lot on just re-walling every single time need be, rebuilding the buildings that, and replacing the buildings that get low and get taken out.
Yeah, speaking of, the gateway is going to go down. We're only going to have a single Zealot to work with, and now the Lings, they need to break on through. They need to get on top of that Zealot, or they need to get on top of the cannon, I should say. Up, up, up!
And Yuki is trying to get the cannons up and running. A really nice wall of pylons here, but I'm not entirely convinced that this is gonna... Yep, it's not quite enough here for ReWhite. Even a couple of drones here to throw down a couple of spine crawlers. Lings completely avoiding the cannons and going straight for the juicy probes. ReWhite surprisingly not losing that much, but that should change with these spine crawlers finishing up.
Yeah, exactly. But will he finish them? Because that one Zealot is going to town on those spines. It looks like the spines won't finish. We do have a full surround. The probes are the real MVPs. There are not enough Lings to stop this.
Yeah, a couple of them trying to come out right now, and they are avoiding the cannons. Cannon, of course, also focusing a lot more on the hatchery. That Nexus is getting low.
Yeah, what's important is that there is zero mining right now, and again, there's only a single cannon because of the creep. There aren't going to be any more cannons available. No Queen was popping out, which is a little bit odd, and the spines are finishing.
Just like so, Forge is going to be in a lot of trouble. Cannon trying to do its best against the spine crawler, but with the Lings coming in, this should be a little overwhelming.
Exactly. We didn't need a Queen. We didn't need more creep. GG gets called, and Takanashi takes game number 3.
Putting himself one step closer to qualifying.
Oh my god.
That game lasted less than 4 minutes.
GG. ReWhite had a good response, but I do think that only getting a single cannon up was a little bit of a mistake. He had some time to throw down more than that. The pylon wall was looking okay, but again, with only a single cannon, like, he had very, very limited DPS. Oof. Oh boy.
Yeah. It's... Oh, race check.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, we can remake. But yeah, I guess I kind of feel that maybe the rationale that ReWhite had in that scenario was, well, if I throw down these cannons, they're very low health. They can get, there's a lot of surface area I'm giving up. You know, it's probably safer to just try to wall off on pylons and then get the cannons behind that.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't quite the case in this scenario. It was a little bit of a damn do you do, damn do you don't kind of thing, right? Because he didn't realize that, you know, he might not have realized that Takanashi was committed to getting the hatchery finished up like that.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, we see Zerg players canceling the hatchery just to let their Lings slip in easier.
I think a lot of it did also come down to a byproduct of him pulling all of his probes. He had no income.
True,
he didn't have a lot of minerals to work with. If he had a couple of workers mining while he pulled boys, he would have been able to throw down more cannons. But he couldn't because there were Lings in his main as well, right? Like
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, it was just a game where everything went right for the Zerg player. And that is putting him one step closer to getting to those close qualifiers. But we do have... My brain stopped working for a sec. Well, to be fair, my brain doesn't work that often. But regardless, he needs at least one more, but potentially 2 more. I'm not sure where I was going with that. Anyway, we're spotting into Hardwire, LE, in the top right-hand corner of the map. Spotting all the way in the top right-hand corner, we have a yellow Protoss player coming out from the land of China. He is, of course, going to be representing Starlight Twinkle. He is known elsewhere as ReWhite, but he is known here as Yuki.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have our Chinese Zerg player currently leading this series 2-1. My god, he's doing it all for you. He's doing it all for the waifus, for the otakus all over the world, representing Toho Project. It is Takanashi.
Looking at you, Probe. Not this Probe, but, Sean. Over in Melbourne.
Yeah. As Yaku was attempting to say at the start of the game, also, ReWhite does have to win this. Again, he's up against the wall. He loses this game, he is out of the qualifier. He is done for tonight. He has to win this game, and then the next one, if he wants to make it all the way to those closed qualifiers.
Yeah, otherwise, he's going to have to come back on Friday, and who wants to play in a qualifier on Friday evening?
It's Friday, mate. You know, you could be on Crunchyroll, you could be watching anime.
Yeah. Could be watching Toho.
Project. I don't even know what that is. Could be having a viewer party with Takanashi, you know?
Yeah. Get everyone in. Unite the weebs.
There you go. Weebs together strong, mate. Oh, God. But, yeah, this game, Takanashi didn't pop off the same way he did previously. Didn't go for a 12 pool, much more standard hatch gas pool opener here from our Zerg.
Yeah, very much a product of the map coming up. Very much a product of the map, pretty much. As he was saying earlier, Leningrad, it's pretty much the only map, I think, in the current map pool where you can reliably pull off that 12 pool style, just because you can mine off those minerals like that.
Yeah, I think if Oreo were here, he would probably save a Zerg 12 pools on Berlingrad in a ZVP, and if they don't win, it's the Zerg's fault. I think he would probably make that strong of a statement. Oh, God. But yeah, it is very difficult for the Protoss player. It is difficult. But at least here we're in a much more standard game, and once again, ReWhite opens up with a Void Ray.
Yeah, so still pretty standard. I'm liking this from ReWhite that we were able to glean in these 4 games so far. You know, if the map calls for it, he will take advantage of it and utilize what's there to his advantage, except for Leningrad, because that was a case of, Takanashi taking advantage of the map before Yuki could. But if not, then he'll just play it out a lot more. He'll just play out something that we're a lot more used to, something that's a little bit more reliable and orthodox.
Yeah, and that's what we should be getting, but I'm a little bit perplexed because we have not just one Void Ray, we have a second Void Ray on the way and a very fast Robo. This is, to me, almost feeling like old school, like, Void Ray, maybe Disruptor. I don't know, again, the fast Robo is really throwing me off.
Yeah, there's no Twilight Council with this, so he's not going to be focused on gateway units whatsoever.
Third Void Ray.
He's gotta throw down that Robo Bait, doesn't he?
Yeah, I would imagine so. And again, this is a build that we haven't seen in a long time. Like, it's been a year, I feel. So we'll see what ReWhite decides to do with his tech, where he decides to go. Yeah, because this is kind of screaming Skytoss, especially with the commitment into all these voids. But we have 2 more gates thrown down.
Maybe just a way to secure him a little bit more in this early game. He has he been able to get a scout on Takanashi yet?
Not really.
Yeah, so maybe a case of, so maybe it's just a case of insurance, right? If Takanashi was being a little bit more aggressive, the Void Rays should be enough to deal with that, but just in case they aren't, 4 gateways to throw down emergency. Well, I say 4 gateways, but he's going for a total of 6 gateways now.
Yeah,
So is this just gonna be vanilla Stalkers?
I imagine
With
so.
Void Rays?
I mean, this can work because this is going to hit at a really awkward timing. We have 3 Void Rays, we have 1 Immortal. It's going to be like a pseudo kind of Soul Train sort of thing. And again, this is going to be an awkward push. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, he's going to be in a really rough place because he doesn't have any upgrades. It's pretty committed.
Yeah, that's the double-edged sword of pushing out in awkward timing, right? Your opponent isn't going to be expecting it, so they're going to be even less prepared. But you're also going to be less prepared because they're not going for upgrades.
Yeah, meanwhile, we do have a Ling scattered in the third base. Does spot that it is pretty saturated. Does actually go all the way into the main base. We'll get a full scout off, but it doesn't matter because ReWhite is already across the map hitting with his timing.
He's got plenty of sentries with him. The Warp Prism is up and running. Has to be careful. There's that one Spore Crawler, and there are plenty of Queens over here with good enough target fire. Takanashi can't shut this down. Speaking of good enough target fire.
Yeah, one Queen already going down. Where are the transfuses, Puppy? Does take out one of the Void Rays, but we need more than just Queens. Where are the Roaches? They're coming out. But again, Takanashi was a little bit too busy earlier making drones.
And he has been able to deal with the Void Rays, but they are the least scary thing about this army right now. The Ravagers are going to bile down the Warp Prism! Not quite! Dodges it just at the last second, and with that, Yuki, or ReWhite, is going to be able to keep this push up and running. He is going to be able to reinforce as long as he, there we go, continues to warp in.
Yeah, but you know what? The Immortal is looking pretty exposed. We have some micro. We do. The Warp Prism barely keeps the Immortal alive. With this push, every single worker at the third base is going down, and he's going to keep going.
Yeah, looking at the army supplies, they are just about even right now, but you gotta remember that a lot of Takanashi supply are in these currently morphing Zerglings, so there's still plenty of damage that Yuki can still do on top of all the damage he's already done. Finally a bile land to the Warp Prism, but it is not enough to take it out.
Yeah, we do have a reposition of that Spore as well, trying to zone away the Prism as much as he can. It looks like, in the end, Takanashi will be able to clean all of this up, but not without losing 28 plus workers. Specifically, 30. Oh my god.
Wow. Meanwhile, I was not quite expecting this, but in less than 10 minutes in this game, ReWhite is already at 75 probes.
Yeah. That's what was weird about this quote-unquote. I was very hesitant to call this an all-in because Yuki's probe count was looking very healthy, and he's transitioning. He's going to Skytoss. He's got +1 air attack on the way. He's got 2 more Stargates. Thankfully, we do see a scout from Takanashi. He sees all of this, but after all that economic damage, he's gonna have a hard time recovering.
Definitely. I guess a little bit of a consolation for Takanashi here is that he did, despite losing 30 workers, he did keep his hatcheries alive.
True.
So now he has a total of 5, so he can focus a bit more on droning. I mean, look at that, the work in terms of worker count, he's already pretty much catching up, but like you said, he's going to be behind on tech, he's going to be behind on army, he's trying to do whatever he can with these roaches, and is he going to be able to get things done? He takes out the Immortal, which is pretty good.
I mean, this is great damage. He's going to do whatever he can with what he has because these roaches are going to be useless once the Void Rays come out. And the Void Rays are coming out. I say Void Rays. Once the Fleet Beacon finishes, we're going straight into Skytoss.
Oh yeah, Carriers, Tempest, maybe even Flux Veins and Aeonic Pulse Crystal, because we do see a Spire coming up for Takanashi.
Yeah, he's trying to get ready for this. He wants to go into Corruptors as soon as possible. He's making as many Queens as possible as well. These Void Rays are looking to take out the hatchery, but looking at the units tab, we actually have 0 Queens. Oh no!
How does that happen is what I would like to know. Prismatic Alignment is going to be enough to take out the Spore Crawlers. There's 1 Queen doing its best to keep everything at bay, but it has no energy. It's a fresh Queen. It can't transfuse.
Not like this. The 4th base goes down at the same time. We have a War Prism in the main base. Thankfully, roaches are already here, but drones are falling left and right, and Takanashi cannot afford these losses.
Not at all, mate. Not at all. He did get to a point where he was catching up very, very well economically. I mean, he got up to a very comfortable 80 drone count, but ReWhite he's not letting up whatsoever.
Yeah, and I kind of like this. Takanashi, he's throwing a Hail Mary right now. He just made 14 mutas. He's trying to go mass muta and maybe catch Yuki mid-transition. Void Rays aren't the best units against mutas. There's no blink either, but oh. See a little bit of a pause.
I won't be able to read that.
I can tell you that there's no latency on my part, and I didn't see any dropped frames either.
There's a C.
There is a
in
C.
there.
Hold on,
And a 1.
Let's whip out the phone. Can we translate?
Right.
Can we translate? He said something is full. I'll be a moment.
Something is full?
Oh,
C drive is full.
C drive is full.
Wait, what? How? What?
What? Is he recording his POV? Is that what's happening?
He might be. A future reference, yeah. This, I gotta tell you, like, this has gotta be a first in, in competitive StarCraft. A pause because the C drive is full.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, if your C drive is full, you know, you do need to clear it. It will cause some PC issues. But yeah.
That's why you download or at least that's why I download a third-party, you know, thingy to clear out the cache whenever I need to. Okay, I don't something.
Oh. I don't know. I think he just said I removed something.
I removed at. I unloaded at. Google is giving me a bunch of different interpretations. HT.
God damn it. There's always a first, you know, every now and then. Well, this is a first for us, I should say.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm pretty certain that it does say C drive.
No, yeah, it is C drive.
We'll ask Ranger to confirm.
Yeah. For those wondering, Yuki is currently setting himself up. Okay, there we go. It looks like he's going to be ready. Mutas have been revealed, by the way, and oh boy, we'll see if
Maybe
they can.
That's what clogged up the C drive.
Maybe. We'll see if it's going to be enough. Up.
Well, I can tell you, it seems like he has enough to deal with the Mutas, but what about the Stalkers on the ground? The Stalkers are not going to be enough either, it seems. So he retreats to shield battery range, but that was a very nice snipe here for Takanashi, taking out a lot of these Void Rays.
Yeah, the problem is that this is prompting a massive counterattack from ReWhite. The Mutas are doing a lot of damage, but he doesn't have anything on the ground right now. Mutas will be able to clean this up, but again, he doesn't want to go back home. He wants to be here across the map.
Yeah, when it's all said and done, ReWhite has access to recall. Takanashi doesn't.
Oh god, no, he's being pulled apart as well. He does take down the Void Ray, but the Stargates are still up and running. Meanwhile, Zealots are pushing in across the map. We have 11 Spine Crawlers on the way, but I don't know if they're going to finish.
I think a couple of them might, actually, in the back. ReWhite is splitting up his army away from the Spine Crawlers. The thing is, Spine Crawlers are defensive units for a reason. You can't exactly run them towards your opponent's army and root them down.
Exactly. Phoenixes are on the way as well, and Archon is on the way, being morphed in at the last moment. Meanwhile, back at home, Spines did finish, but they're not in the best positions. They're not really protecting much of anything here at the third base. Not like this.
And it's, I mean, you know, looking at it, I kind of do like the army of Takanashi.
Yeah.
Just that if he takes even the slightest bits of loss, there's no way he can recover. ReWhite still a very comfortable 60 worker supply. And losing those Mutas, yeah, those were kind of the losses that I was talking about.
Exactly. There are a lot of Mutas though. Looking at the units tab, we have 28 Mutas in total. Is that going to be enough here to overwhelm this Archon and maybe take down the production? Because again, he's basically going for a base trade.
Not with a super battery, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, shield batteries are pretty good, not gonna lie. We have more Phoenixes on the way as well. Mutas are gonna be able to take down every single worker here in this mineral line, and once the overcharge finishes up, oh my god, even a little bit of a Ling run by it.
Yeah, it is pulling the Protoss army apart a little bit as the Mutas dip back into the production and start taking out a couple more units.
That's
but ReWhite is catching back up. That was the last Stargate.
Yeah.
Warping up Zealots, actually, not Stalkers. Okay.
I mean, he has very limited gas to work with right now. No, we have a second Archon on the way. Again, Archons are amazing right now. No, don't bunch up. Don't fight like this.
Yeah, Archons are literally the most valuable unit that ReWhite has at his disposal right now, and he has 3 of them. The mutas are bunched up a little bit, but Takanashi actually doing a pretty good job of avoiding these Archons.
Yeah, meanwhile, across the bow, he turns around, he takes down the Void Rays as well. Archons are doing the best they can to zone out. Meanwhile, every single building is falling, by the way.
Not these spine crawlers, funnily enough, and they do count as buildings.
True, and they have queens to transfuse.
Yeah, and a lot of these gateways are depowered, so as long as Takanashi, funnily enough, is able to deal with the Archons and the Void Rays, he wins. But will he be able to deal with those units is the question.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, this army isn't getting any bigger. Like, I don't think... but we do have more cannons being set up. This defensive position in the main base is going to be so difficult to break.
Yeah, and of course, ReWhite does still have a couple of probes available to him. He can still mine, he can still throw down another Nexus. Ah, man, Takanashi recognizes his chances, goes for a Hail Mary, but Mary did not hail. GG, we're going to this series all the way to our ace match.
That was wild. Takanashi almost made it work, going for the mass muta, but alas, the defense, it just took him too long to really get damage done, and it gave ReWhite a lot of time to get cannons, to get shield batteries, to get more phoenixes, to get archons, and it just barely was enough.
Absolutely was. As you said, just barely. That was a very intense game, a very close game, all things considered. It does feel as if ReWhite was more in control throughout that game, especially after the initial push with his vanilla whatchamacallit, gateway units. There we go.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of moments where Takanashi, it looked like he had the army advantage. If 1 or 2 more things went his way, might have been able to overwhelm ReWhite here, and you know, we're just coming down to the final chance for both players.
I'll be honest, there were a couple of moments where he was a little bit indecisive with those mutas. I think he needed to... there was some moments there, I don't know if you remember, where he was attacking the production, and then a Void Ray showed up, and he would, like, stop everything and, like, chase down the Void Ray, and then come back to the production, right? Like, there were a couple of moments like that where he wasn't being as decisive with shutting down the production like he should have. And if he had, you know, maybe would have seen a little bit of a different game. ReWhite would have had a little bit less to work with. That was just very chaotic. But shout out to Takanashi for making it as close as it was, because that was a really rough start after that awkward timing from the Protoss.
You know what it really comes down to, though? It's the C drive.
It's all...
Clear out your C drive regularly, folks.
It's all about the C drive, mate. As it looks like our players are asking for a bit of a break, and I don't blame them, because this is the ace match. This is the final game here in our qualifying match.
Yeah, and it has been a pretty intense evening so far, especially in this one series in particular. Again, I do genuinely feel like that was the closest game that we've got, I think, throughout this entire bracket, if not throughout this entire bracket so far. So it makes sense that you know, you do need to drain your disruptors, stretch your roaches, hydrate your hydras, as I will demonstrate right now. Although not all at the same time. I'm just gonna hydrate my hydras.
There you go. Hydrate your hydras, everyone. Get ready for the final game here in our first China qualifier for DreamHack Valencia, mates. Quickly checking over. I imagine the other series is probably already done. It hasn't been updated on the bracket, though.
Yeah, we'll get confirmation when we jump out of this game. But speaking of this game, we are going to be concluding our qualifying match, best of 5 here on Curious Minds. LE, of course, in the bottom right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner, we have a yellow Protoss player coming down from the land of China. He is, of course, going to be representing Starlight Twinkle, the Salties, and by that I mean saltwater crocodiles. He is known in many places as ReWhite. He is known here as Yuki. Or Yucky.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Curious Minds LE, we have the Otaku himself. We have the red Chinese Zerg player representing Toho Project. It is Takanashi.
So it all for you, Ram.
Rem.
Rem.
There you go. I forget what her sister's name is.
Yeah, which...
Oh god. I'm assuming this is Rem. I don't know for certain, I'll be honest.
I'm going along with that.
Yeah.
I'm also gonna assume it's Rem, because how many blue-haired anime, how many blue-haired girls are there in anime?
You don't want to know the answer to that question, mate. There's a lot. There's oh god. But yeah, if there are any anime connoisseurs in the chat, maybe we can get a little bit of confirmation on the identity of this waifu. And
Bulma.
But that is not Bulma, Yaku. I know you haven't watched Dragon Ball Z, but that is not Bulma.
There's blue.
God damn it.
Goku, when he goes into that, whatchamacallit, in the new series.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes he has blue hair. Boruto. Burrito.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if he's gonna be able to harness the power of the waifu. If that's gonna be enough here, because we are in the final game of this series, Game 5, the ace match. It all comes down to this, and our Protoss player has decided to go for a Twilight Council opener.
He's ending this how he began it. Yeah, it's a little reminder, because it seems like forever ago since game number 1. Yuki opened up the series with a Glaive Adept build, a Glaive Adept into Disruptor play, plus Colossus, and of course it really went his way, partially because of the choice of Takanashi to go for a bit of a early 2-base push, but regardless, I think it would have been in favor of ReWhite. Anyway, he was able to get a lot of damage done early on.
Yeah.
And Curious Minds, another good map to do that.
Yeah, ReWhite executed his Glaive Adept build beautifully, and I agree. I really like that he's going back to basics. You know, it's how he started the series, it's how he's going to end the series. Glaive Adepts are on the way. Quickly keeping an eye on the gateway count. Once again, it is only 4 gateways, so this is looking very much so like our first game.
That's what happened when he rebooted his C drive. He meant the C drive in his brain.
There you go, mate. He rebooted his memory and is going to be going across the map. Quickly looking at the vision of Takanashi. He is in the dark. He knows that it's not going to be a Stargate opener. Otherwise, there would have been a Void Ray out already. So he knows that much at least. But again, still a little bit in the dark. And I feel like over the course of this series, Yuki or ReWhite has shown that he doesn't just have to go Glaive Adept. So that's the other added danger of this build.
Yeah, just like that, Robo Bay being thrown down. Now, Takanashi has been able to scout the War Prism coming his way. He should have a very good inkling of what's to come. Roaches are always a solid pick when you know that your opponent's not going for Stargate.
Yeah, exactly. We do have Lings on the way in the meantime. First wave of Roaches is being produced, and so far so good for these Adepts. Again, as a reminder, ReWhite doesn't have to commit with these shades. He's just here to force a response, to keep his opponent's attention on the map, while he gets ready for Roaches with his Disruptors.
Yeah, he didn't really make that many gateways, so he's not the most committed to getting damage done with these Adepts. He's already bleeding out quite a number of these Queens. Just needs to try to actually, kill them.
Ooh, I love this little run by. Does force a warp in back at home. With that warp in, ReWhite should be perfectly fine, but oh my god. Ooh, almost gets surrounded.
Almost, but not quite. ReWhite playing this out a little bit more conservatively, just trying to clear up some creep, but here comes that surround we were talking about. Finally, Adepts is starting to go down. Beautiful concave of Queens and Ravagers.
Yeah, and just like that, Takanashi will force this back. What I will say is that ReWhite did clear a lot of creep, which was pretty insane. But is that going to be enough? Because Takanashi, he's just holding down that link. He goes across the map. The wall's on the wall! Oh.
Oh it's not a wall, but there were security guards here in the form of adepts.
Exactly. Takanashi is forced back. He's re-droning as well. He had to cut workers earlier to defend. Now he's going to be taking a little bit of a worker lead. But after all said and done, ReWhite, he's again still in a decent position. Sure, he lost a couple of adepts, but he keeps his opponent at bay, and he's going to be able to expand and eventually take this third. I say that as he goes for a bit of a gateway explosion instead.
Alrighty then. Interesting. Yeah. I really did think that he was going to commit further into Robo, as you were saying, you get more Immortals out and whatnot, but no, he just wants to get his high-tech AoE units, the Disruptors and the Colossus, and then from there just create as big of a buffer as possible, I guess.
Oh, exactly. As the first 2 Novas go off, they only get a single Queen, so some acceptable losses here for Takanashi. Goes for a Ling run by. The goal of this run by catch some reinforcements also confirmed that there is no third Nexus.
He knows a big push is coming his way.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a
but
little.
How's he gonna prepare for it?
Thankfully, he canceled his Spire. He had a Spire on the way, and I'm like, now is not the time for Mutas, Takanashi. It's not the time. He needs nothing but army right now. A couple of Lings do get shaved off. He goes for another massive run by, and oh, he does face a brick wall. But again, he confirms that it is all in.
And already Disruptor gets a decent amount of damage. This is not where the Lings want to be right now. Not when there's a Colossus in the midst. Purification Nova should be recharging, and again, he only used one of them earlier on. That was a decent Nova from one of the Disruptors. Has to be careful, he's exposing the Disruptors a little bit, though.
He is. It looks like Takanashi is giving up his third base. He's setting himself up for a bit of a surround with the Lings in the back line. Is it going to be enough? He has 11 more Roaches on the way. He's waiting a little bit longer before they come out.
And funnily enough, he is kind of setting up a bit of a surround with the Roaches that are about to pop out. Purification Nova gets a decent number of Queens, but because of the Transfuse, is unable to really kill them. Another Disruptor gets sniped, and Takanashi is pushing this back full force right now.
Does he have enough though? He only has 2 Biles, so the Warp Prism will survive. Another Warping of Stalkers comes in, and the Queens are off of creep. They can't transfuse!
But doesn't blink either.
But they're going to be falling anyway. A massive wave of Queens go down, and I think that may just be the end. Takanashi, this is too many losses.
Yeah, Takanashi unfortunately overextending by just that little bit. Man, it's so unfortunate that Queens cannot transfuse off of creep anymore. But good game, well played is called, and Yuki, otherwise known as ReWhite, will qualify for the DreamHack Masters Valencia China Regional Close Qualifiers. That's a bit of a mouthful. Again, honestly, a very incredibly close game coming up from these two players. It was just so... so unfortunate that, you know, maybe in the heat of a moment, it kind of slipped his mind a little bit that you can't transfuse off a creep anymore. It was a pretty recent change. That just overextended by a couple of meters.
Yeah,
that was enough for ReWhite to take the fight.
And it really goes to show how, like, ReWhite's attack had multiple layers to it. If you remember, with his first initial Glaive Adepts, he didn't get any drone kills. What did he get? He got a lot of tumors. He cleared a lot of that creep, especially outside the natural, and he was just setting himself up to have an even stronger attack later on with his Colossus, with his Disruptors.
10 steps ahead, you know, ReWhite. You know, they do say he's like an onion. Got layers.
There you go, mate. There you go. GG, well played. Congratulations, ReWhite, for being the first player to qualify for the closed qualifier of the DreamHack Valencia China region. And
yeah, we're kind of saying that he's the first player because we don't really have confirmation yet of how Hyperion versus Silky went, or if it's still coming along. So for all intents and purposes, we're gonna assume ReWhite was the first player to qualify.
Yeah. The first announced player anyway. I'm gonna slip into the DMs of the admin and figure out what is going on with that lower series. Honestly, I imagine it's already done. It's possible that the players just haven't updated the admins. We'll try and figure that out.
Yeah. And of course, if they haven't finished a series yet, then we are 100% going to be trying to get into that action. Both Hyperion and Silky are some of the few Zerg players from China now for the longest time. So that's something to be pretty excited for. Either way, we're getting some Zerg representation in the close qualifiers.
There you go. GG. Also, I want to give a bit of a shout out to the fellow otaku in the chat, alive in the Wired. I guess this makes sense. He's saying it's Cyrano. Yeah, it's Cyrano from Touhou Project. I didn't know, but apparently Touhou Project is the name of an anime. So that would make sense.
So that's at least 3 blue-haired anime girls.
At least 3 confirmed. Oh god, but thank you. We appreciate that. Again, I'm not familiar with the anime, but it's good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, we do need to get the information out.
Do we? We need to spread the word of Touhou Project. Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed. Yeah, yep.
And Silky and Hyperion just got out of game, so we'll see what
this bodes pretty well for us.
Yeah. Let's see what's going on. What's happening?
All right, we're waiting with bated breath. We are asking them for the score right now. You can't hear me drumming my leg.
Okay. Calm down, puppy. Calm down. Yeah, we're just waiting to get confirmation. And again, congratulations to ReWhite. We expected him to be the favorite coming into this, especially in the upper half of the bracket. But I'm pleasantly surprised that Takanashi was able to fight back as fiercely as he did. I wasn't really expecting that. So, I mean, in my mind, Takanashi, like, he's much more of a notable name. You know, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on him in the second qualifier.
Yeah. Takanashi definitely one of those players where if he didn't qualify in the first round, he's probably going to qualify in the second, right? Right?
Probably.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes peeled in that regard.
Yeah.
Fortunately, as is tradition with the second Chinese qualifiers and even the Chinese close qualifiers sometimes, it does clash a little bit with the Oceania/Rest of Asia qualifiers.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you're a fan of Takanashi and if you want to see him again, I'm sure he will be there in qualifier number 2. He will have another chance. Unfortunately, we won't be casting that because, as Yaku mentioned, the DreamHack China second qualifier and the DreamHack Oceania first qualifier, they do intersect. They are running at the same time, and we can only pick one.
Yeah. It's a whole process to re-download the Chinese client and switch accounts and whatnot, so yeah, it's a little bit bothersome sometimes.
It's not ideal. It's not an ideal process. Oh boy.
But we are getting updated here from Kassid in the chat. Touhou Project is a bullet hell shooter with magical girls.
Of
so
course.
Not an anime, it's a video game.
Of course it is. God, yeah.
Like bullet hells.
I was like googling it, and yeah, apparently it's a video game that has animation in it, but not necessarily. It's a game first and animation.
What is it called in Japan? Anime? An anime game, but it's not really an anime game. It's a game with anime in it. You know what I mean. Like, it's not a game based on an anime that already exists. So, that would be an anime game. This is more of a game. And wait, we're still waiting for Silky versus Hyperion scores, by the way. So
yeah,
that's why we're
we're trying to get updates. Silky is in game, but we're not really getting too much of a response. We're trying to get some. We're trying to get some answers, people. We're trying, and figure out what did end up happening there.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
The end a little bit. Yep.
We got confirmation.
Yes.
GG, well played. Congratulations to Silky as he did 3-0 Hyperion, and he's also our second player to qualify.
There we go. Again, kind of the expected result coming into this bracket. Hyperion is a very active player. I would argue probably the most active Chinese player in weekly events like ESL Open Cup Asia and whatnot. But yeah, unfortunately, we kind of knew that he was going to be the underdog going into not just facing Silky, but kind of the entire bracket as well. But again, get hyped for Silky, because it has been a very long time since we've seen him compete, and he definitely seems to be back in form, at least a little bit here, going into DreamHack Masters Valencia, China Regional.
Yeah, I can't wait to see more of all these players. You know, it's great to see Silky returning. It's great to see ReWhite here. What I will say is, you know, if you're in the chat and if you're from the Chinese scene, at Tudming, because if apparently Tudming is active again, I want to see him again in these qualifiers. You know, bring him back. Tudming, Firefly, Jeshi, Jim, Jigua. Bring them all back. It'll be great to see. Top as well.
Starve the camels.
Starve all the camels. Hopefully we get to see him on Friday. We won't get to see him, but hopefully he'll be a part of the qualifier on Friday.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, everyone. And with that, yeah, I guess that kind of wraps us up for tonight. Again, we will be back tomorrow with day number 2, or day number 3 overall, I suppose. But it is the second Taiwan, Hong Kong, Mongolia, Japan, Macau qualifiers. A lot of players we thought were going to qualify from the qualifier number 1 actually didn't. So it is going to be a little bit more cutthroat tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. A little bit, mate. A little bit. That's what happens with these qualifiers. They are so brutal. And oh boy, unfortunately, you know, some move on and some fall. That's what we're going to be finding out there in those second qualifiers. Also tomorrow, before that happens, we're going to be live with the DreamHack Latin American qualifier in the morning.
Yes.
And we'll be live there with Darky.
Hell yeah. So if you're interested in players such as, I'm actually going to quickly look up who's not, or who isn't already seated into the closed qualifiers.
Man, if you're interested in players like Neo, Tavo, Smile, Chaos Fate, Master, Yanji, the best of the best here in Latin America. They're going to be all over those Latin American qualifiers, and they are going to be brutal. Oh boy. We're big fans of the Latin American scene here on the CranKy Ducklings.
It is going to be massive. And if you happen to be awake tomorrow, if you're somebody who is awake and watching tomorrow, make sure to @ the Stan, because he did say that he was going to come back and play in these qualifiers. So if he's not there, !Discord in the chat. I guess go to tournament spoilers or general or something like that. @ the Stan, remind him to check in.
Remind him, yes. The star needs to be there as well. So yeah, we're going to be live tomorrow with the DreamHack Latin American qualifiers. Again, we're still in the kind of beginning of all these qualifiers. There are so many of them, and if you enjoyed our casting, then we're going to be trying to bring as much of it to you as we can here on the CranKy Ducklings. If you don't see us live, then check out those Twitch VODs, because they're all going to be there.
Yeah. And usually if we're not live, we are typically casting someone who is who may or may not be covering the event, which there will be another one happening in a couple hours. DreamHack, the qualifiers for EU. Of course, we are not going to be covering that because we do need to sleep before Latin America. Well, you need to sleep before Latin America. I just need to sleep at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Oh god. So thank you so much everyone for watching. We appreciate all the support. And with that, Yaku, do you have anything else you want to add before we head off for the night?
I might have had something, but No, I don't quite remember. One alcoholic man has been making the Toho bullet hell games since the 90s. Thanks for that bit of information, alive in the wired, and I guess that will be part of my message to close off. Embrace your weebishness, otakus out there.
Be loud and proud.
Be like Haas,
Be...
and have your body pillow in the background while you compete.
There you go, mate. There you go. That's why he's so damn good. Thanks for watching, everyone. We appreciate the support, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Ciao.
Bye. Bella.